I don't believe depression exists because depression is loneliness. To my point of view, I want to believe what most people feel and call it depression. It's not really depression. You can tie it to either loneliness or you can tie it to, lack of being motivated to like do something,
I got 99.9 problems. This is where we sit down and talk about them. 99.9 problems. And we ain't scared to talk about them. We got 99.9. Yeah, 99.9. Yeah, 99.9. Yeah, 99.9. Yeah. I got 99.9 problems. This is where we sit down and talk.
Hey guys, we are back again to our podcast 99.9 Problems. We are so happy with the outcomes. We see all your comments, we see all your likes, we see all your support, and we are so grateful. We still have very great topics to talk about, and we want you all to stay tuned and stay connected. So today we are going to be talking about depression and loneliness. That's a very sensitive topic.
Very sensitive topic. Yeah, it's very sensitive. Very sensitive.
So, what do you really think about depression and loneliness?
So, first of all, we actually need to understand the difference, right? But of course, they are very similar. Mm-hmm. They're like twins.
Yeah.
And
because when you feel one,
yes,
you feel one way.
So this is how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Loneliness gets you to depression.
True.
I'm gonna be biased somehow. Okay. And of course, I know you're not gonna agree with me, but I don't think depression exists.
Really?
Yes. Do you ask me why?
Why?
Okay. I don't believe depression exists because depression is loneliness. To my point of view, I want to believe what most people feel and call it depression is not really depression. You can tie it to either loneliness or you can tie it to, lack of being motivated to like do something,
But
yeah.
Sometimes you really get saturated with a lot of things, and all those things make a lot of unresolved problems we have these days, and all those things sometimes contribute to depression.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever felt depressed.
Well,
but
I mean, I actually want to think it is, but I don't want to call it that. Because, I mean, there are actually points in time where you can sit and be like, you feel so down, you know what I mean? You're so down, you're not feeling motivated to do anything. You're just lazy, you don't want to go to the gym, you don't want to don't want to eat, especially when you're on bed, you don't want to get out of bed, all of those things. Sometimes, right, that's why some doctors actually want to tie it to lack of medically. Of course, there's medical aspects of it, and there's so some doctors actually tie it to like lack of vitamin D because you're not exposed or you're not outside a lot. Okay, who do we actually mostly see depression in? Yeah. Do you notice that most people who say they're depressed are mostly people who are indoors a lot? Have you noticed that?
That's true.
Yeah, majority of it, right?
That's true.
Mostly people who are indoors, like they spend a staggering amount of time
They don't interact
indoors.
with people.
They don't interact with people. They're not doing activities. They're not going out there. Most people are in, like, especially like for kids who grow up, just indoors, not going out, especially on their iPads or video games. They grow up like that, and to an extent that they tend to be nerds or just tend to be introverts and stuff. Most introverts actually get depressed a lot, and I want to feel like it's because they're not getting out there.
So do you think the society in which we live right now, which is the US, has a lot of people depressed as compared to other places in the world?
Yes. Okay. let me give you an example, right? I think I reviewed this a couple of days ago. They say about 14,000 people in the United States die every year. I don't know if it's every year or every month. I don't know, but they die from depression. They call it depression, right? Every year. Now look at countries like, for example, let's look at Africa as a continent in general. Okay, look at Asia in general. Look at Europe, right? Of course, there's obviously people there who are introverts and stuff. But if you look at the statistics, a lot of people don't die there from depression like that.
Like
Yeah.
in Africa, a lot of people don't even believe in depression. That's the thing.
That's
You don't even have the time to think about it because, like, in Africa, you would wake up in the morning, do whatever you have to do in the house, and then you don't even need a phone. You can just walk to your friend's house and you guys hang out. If you have money, you don't have money, you can still have fun with your friends.
You're still gonna have fun.
So people don't really think about it because they have that sense of belonging. They have that sense of being part of the community. So you always have someone to interact with. You always have someone to
That's
talk
the reason
to.
why I said I don't really believe in depression like that, because different communities or countries or ethnic groups, they see the term differently, right?
Yeah.
They don't actually see it like us. For example, you remember like growing up as kids back in the day. When you're growing up, you're not only brought up by your parents.
True.
The whole neighborhood, you guys are playing together with kids. All the other, you guys are friends growing up, play together, and all of that stuff. You don't even have time. We didn't even have iPads and video games.
If you had a phone, it's a luxury.
It was a luxury. So that wasn't the case. Now, when you play with all of that stuff, you're never gonna sit and at one moment and feel like, oh,
I'm
depressed, I'm
even
down.
Even if you say to your African mom, she's gonna take you to church.
Yeah, they're either gonna take you to church or they're gonna whoop your ass. They're gonna whoop you because they don't actually comprehend what you're actually talking about,
Yes.
But now, shifting the society that we're in now, right? You see, when kids are, it's already crawling. What do parents get for them? Phones, iPads.
Watch TV every single day.
Well, I prefer kids to watch TV.
Yeah.
Because the TV is different. But now you see the iPads on the phones. It's killing our kids a lot.
And
it's killing this generation.
They also have these platforms where they communicate with other people their age. And there's a lot of bullying going on in these platforms, which contributes to some of the things people go through in this society.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it makes the kids, right, to grow up in loneliness. To an extent that most kids don't want to associate with others anymore. When they go out, they don't want to like interact with other kids. They don't want to play with them. So they're just stuck on their iPads and phones.
Not just with other kids, but their siblings.
Their siblings
too.
as well.
Yeah.
Even with their parents, sometimes they feel so reserved. That's because their phones and the iPads are contributing. So now these kids are growing up in an environment or growing up with the mindset that they don't want to associate with people. It makes them feel lonely. It makes them feel worthless. It gives them that depression. So that loneliness grows up to the level of them getting depressed.
Okay.
Now, what do they start actually giving kids? The system now believes that, there's a medication for depression. Of course there is. They've made it that way. Why? When they take your kid to the hospital, they're diagnosing people now with depression.
True.
It has become an illness.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
It's a common thing these days.
I don't know why, right? And then when they diagnose a kid with depression, what do they start giving you? Medication for depression, medication for anxiety, all of those things. You take it for a couple of times, months, years, that it breaks you down, and then you believe that you are depressed. Now you need that medication in order to survive. You can't do anything without that medication, and it's killing you more and more and more. So people grow up now. Anyway, let me go back to what you mentioned earlier before coming back to this about the issue of the iPads and stuff, right? You see situations where people actually become lonely to the extent that they take their own lives.
True.
They take their own lives.
Even kids.
They take their kids are killing themselves. They're killing themselves, and majority of the time, right? We see suicides. So I think for kids, right? We usually I don't think there's any difference. Like you see male and female kids, they take their own lives, or they overdose on drugs, right? But with adults, you mostly find that people who commit suicide a lot are the males. They are the males, yeah. Because the reason is because a lot of people, okay, especially in the United States now, come to think of it, right? A staggering amount of people now are working from home remotely.
Yes.
They spend a lot of time indoors. They're not out there like that, okay? Do you know how much better you feel when you just walk under the sun? When you just take a walk outside?
Walks are very important.
Yeah. So when you walk, you take a walk, you get the vitamin D from the sun, all of those things. It cheers you up a lot. Now, most people spend the time indoors, the
Playing
entire
video
week, the
games,
entire day, playing
yeah.
games, working, all of that stuff. Okay, if you finish working, by the time you're done working, you're already tired. Now, the next thing is you want to go to video games or watching movies. You spend the time a lot at home. Now, it gets you to that level of loneliness where you feel less motivated to do anything, all of those stuff. Now, you find people killing themselves, committing suicide, all of those things. And another thing is, people actually, especially with us men, we keep things a lot within us. We don't express it out, either to our partners or girlfriend, opposite sex friends. There's some things that a lot of men do keep it within, right? And when you keep things a lot like that, it gets to a certain extent that it starts to bother you a lot.
True.
And it starts to kill you without you knowing that it's killing you. That's why I said we find a lot of suicide amongst men as opposed to women, because you women, you are very expressive, especially with your friends, right?
But no,
yeah.
Well, as compared to what you said before, that you don't think depression really exists, I think it actually exists with certain people, because when we first mentioned that we were going to talk about this today, I was very excited about the topic because I was talking to my friend 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about loneliness and depression. And then while I was driving to work, I was like, I think there are two kinds of loneliness. There's one that comes with you not having anybody to love and care for you, to listen to you, and then that loneliness kicks in.
That's true.
And then there's another one where you have people around you that care about you and love you, or pretend to care and love about you,
but you feel alone.
But you still feel alone.
Yeah.
So to you, which do you think is the worst kind of loneliness anybody can ever feel?
I think the worst kind of loneliness is the one where you have people around but you still feel alone.
True.
That's the worst. Because what's the point of me having you around when I don't feel like you have genuine love and concern for me?
Yeah.
When I have you around, I still feel lonely. That's the one where you can get killed.
True. That's
right.
I share the same.
Or you yourself can kill that person. Yeah, because you see situations of couples wanting to hurt each other. Like there's situations where you see these a lot, on the criminal courts and stuff. You see someone has killed the other person, or they have gone to a certain level where the things are beyond fixing. It's because sometimes you have people, friends, partners around, but they're around you, right? Yeah. But you still feel like there's something lacking.
Yeah, there's that.
Of course, there's many ways to look at it. Sometimes it's that person's fault because they don't want to open up, or you cheer up and make things spicy and stuff. Some other times it's the fact that the other people around you don't care enough. They're not taking into account, or they're not looking deeply as into, like, they're not asking you questions like what's going on. They don't have genuine concern for you.
And the thing is, sometimes when you experience those feelings, you try to express them to some of those your friends. It mostly depends on where those your friends lived or grew up in, like the community in which they grew up in. Yeah. Because if you're trying to explain to someone that has African views and way of living, you're like, oh, I think I'm depressed or I feel this way, they're gonna be like, what are you talking about?
They're actually gonna laugh at you.
Yeah, so it's so difficult to express your feelings these days with your friends,
It's
because
really difficult.
they are definitely, especially for guys, like if you try to explain something to your male friend that, oh, I'm going through this, the very first thing they're going to do is maybe laugh at you or say something crazy.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things I can't tell nobody.
Yeah,
a lot of things I don't even want to express them to my friends, because guess what? Sometimes you feel you actually fear being embarrassed, or you fear being laughed at, or you fear their reaction towards what you're going to tell them and stuff like that. You know, because us coming from Africa into America, right? It feels so better because we grew up in different conditions, we grew up in different settings, which was tougher and harder than now. So we are able to adapt to it so quick, you know. I mean, like, okay, come to think of it, when I sit and see that someone is depressed, I just wonder, like, why? How is this even possible? Because me, the moment I feel like I'm lonely or down, bruh, I'm just getting a glass of alcohol to drink, or I'm just going outside to like take a walk, run around, or the first thing, I'm going to the gym straight up.
Yeah.
People don't know how much medication the gym is.
And walks too.
Jesus Christ. That's the best medication ever. Because guess what? When you work out, you don't even need to spend like hours in the gym. No, all you need is 15 minutes to run on that treadmill. You're gonna feel a lot better. But most people find it difficult to do.
And talking about Africa, a lot of people that migrate from Africa to the western part of the world or the United States of America get faced with these problems, because as an African alone, you have a lot of responsibilities.
A lot, yeah.
Like, nobody needs to tell you that these are your responsibilities. You grow up knowing that these are my responsibilities.
Exactly. Especially when you have siblings, you guys share everything.
Yeah.
This is for you take care of this. The other person take care of this thing.
Exactly. So when you move to another part of the world where you see people don't really care, people just do whatever they want to do, they take care of themselves, and then you have all these responsibilities you have to take care of. You're like, how am I going to do it? The worst is when you move and then you don't have any family or anybody you know at that particular area. You're like, how am I going to maneuver myself around these situations? How am I going to do it? You don't have anybody to guide you. You start feeling like, oh, I need to stay indoors and think better on what steps to take. So all those things, you don't even think about your mental health. You don't think about yourself. You just think about other people, what you have to do to make other people comfortable. And then all those unresolved issues starts digging a deep hole into your whole mind. And then boom,
it messes up your mental health.
You break down one day. You break down.
Well, that's actually because, I mean, yes, those things contribute a lot. They weigh you down. And most people usually say the highest form of sickness is the mental sickness.
Yes.
Because, you know, before you die, your mind actually dies first, right? Yeah, your brain can die before any part of your body. That's because taking care of your mental health is very important. Sure. If you do every day, right? Mental health is not just about exercising. You know, it's not just about taking the walks or being under the sun for the vitamin D, or all of those stuff. The mental health too actually has to do with the people you have around you. You know, the kind of information you let into your mind or into your space, because there's some things that you can start hearing from people, right? And when you continue hearing that thing, you know, at some point you're gonna believe it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Especially about yourself.
Yes.
If somebody keeps telling you one particular thing every single time, you're like, you look at yourself on the mirror and you're like, maybe this person is right.
You're actually gonna believe it. So when you let all of those things into your mind, it messes up with your mental state a lot, to a certain extent that it can make you start believing that you're depressed. Start believing that, oh, you're not good enough. You're not. You don't matter. You're worthless. All of those things. Imagine kids that grow up in how can I put it? They grow up in abusive homes, right? Those kids have been through a lot. They've either been maltreated, they've been told, they've been insulted, they've been verbally abused, all of those things, right? To some extent, they feel they have a low self-esteem. And when the most dangerous thing for a kid to have is low self-esteem, because most of those things, they grow with it. And as they're growing up to reach a certain age, they're going to accept those things that, oh, they are worthless. They have no self-esteem. They don't matter. They don't mean anything. Those things will drive them into that depression, which it was supposed to be cut off in the first place. So those are the things that is really crazy. True. People need to ensure that they're having the right people around them. In addition to the right people around them, they have to accept the right kind of information into their space.
Yeah.
That ensures that your mindset is okay, it's fine. And then so doing, you avoid situations of being lonely or any idea of depression coming to your mind. Yeah. Because like us, imagine us Africans being depressed in America.
I think
I look at it and
no. I think we all have been in that position where we've been depressed in one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
We just try to ignore it, and then it will get to a point where you're going to break down and you'll be confused. Like you'll be like, everything is going right. Why am I feeling this way? Because I know one time when I was working as a social worker.
Yeah.
I went to work one day and I was feeling like everything was going wrong. Everything was going okay, but I felt like everything was going wrong. Yeah. There's this feeling of loneliness. I had people around me that cared about me, but I still felt lonely. I was so confused. I spoke with my supervisor and she was like, oh, there's this conference coming up. Maybe you should go attend. It's a 2-week conference. I did, came back to work and I still felt the same way. I left my job. That day I told my HR, I was like, I cannot do this anymore.
You quit the job?
I just left. I was driving home and crying. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Wait,
then
did you quit or you just left? You just actually left?
No, I told them that I cannot work anymore. Oh. And then they thought I was joking, but I packed my things. I drove back home, sat down, and I started regretting my decision. Yeah. Because I was like, how am I going to pay my bills? That's why I say that a lot of people they don't try to focus on the way they feel sometimes, because you go back home, you not think about what you're going through. You're going to think about the bills you have to pay. I just left my job. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to take care of these people? How am I going to do this? Without even thinking about the real problems, Yeah, so the only thing people focus on is building their finance, their career, making the money. With
everybody's so caught up about making the money that they forget to take care of their mental state.
Yeah.
And those things lead them into that depression, which I believe doesn't exist.
True.
There's a lot of things that you can cut out before even getting to that state. I mean, there's a lot of people who live alone, right? They don't share the apartment or the house with someone. They live alone. But guess what? They're not depressed.
Yeah.
That's because they find ways to keep themselves active.
True.
There's a lot of things that we can use to cut out the depression. One, have friends, belong to a group, go out there, have fun, relax with your friends.
But the thing is, you can have, as you said before, you can actually have friends, but you feel like you're still lonely.
Yeah, you still feel lonely.
And that's the worst kind of loneliness,
the worst one.
Because you don't know what to do. You don't know the people you feel like are the wrong people in your life.
Yeah, you don't know.
You being lonely and not having anybody at all to care for you, you can easily solve that problem by interacting with people, networking, going out there and meeting new people.
Well, here's the thing, right? I want to believe one of the causes or the things that drive people into depression is, before I actually get into this, do you believe or bear with me that your happiness has to come from you first?
True.
Exactly.
But
so
we learned that at some point in our lives. Before, you'll be like,
true. But right now, you have to find your own happiness within. You have to find ways to make yourself happy. I don't know however you do it. Of course, not anything negative or anything to harm another person, but you have to find ways to make yourself happy. Now, when you make yourself happy, right, you're not going to rely on other people to make your mental state good. Because if you find happiness in yourself, you're going to find ways to eradicate any form of loneliness or depression, whatsoever it is. Now, if you love yourself, first of all, one, you're going to make sure that you're taking care of yourself mentally. Two, you're working out. You're doing the things that can avoid any form of extended depression. You're working out, you're making sure you're taking your vitamin D, you're taking walks, you're not, when you get done with work, what do? Do you just sit in, relax? No. Just little things as cleaning around your house. That's already exercise, that's already activity. You keep yourself active and all of those stuff. It's gonna eradicate the depression. But sometimes the lack of motivation makes people to just sit, which leads them into the depression.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason why I don't believe depression exists. It really doesn't. And I don't know whoever created the medication for it, but I mean, because when you keep taking it, it makes you worse.
Yes.
And guess what? It has side effects. It might lead to other things coming up into your health in the future. You might find out that, some other things started. A kidney failure. A liver problem, right? An organ failed. Maybe because it's an extended medication you've been taking for your entire life to cure depression. So I don't think giving someone that medication helps. So, I mean, we've come across a couple of things that can help people with the depression.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it does exist.
And sometimes a lot of people in our society go through certain things and then they expect people to understand them.
Yeah, that's true.
They expect people to feel the way they feel, and with time we learn to recognize certain differences when it comes to different people, because you might tell somebody something and you expect them to understand you, but they will never understand you until they put themselves in your shoes.
I mean, they will never understand you. I mean,
humans
people
expect a lot.
Well, actually, people feel things differently. That's why, I mean, the way someone feels, right? Another person can't understand it unless you've been through the same situation. That's why it's always good to understand someone's perspective, how they feel and stuff, But when it comes to the depression thing, I mean, they just need to find a way to work it out. I don't expect the way they feel to be the same with us, because guess what? It goes with ethnic groups or ethnicities, right? The way Caucasians are gonna feel about it is not the same with us black people, because us black people, we're strong, we're resilient.
True.
So some people grew up in hard conditions. They grew up with tough dads that made them into strong men. Because my dad used to whoop us very well.
He'll be like, I'll unalive myself, and then they'll be like, go and do it. They'll even give you a rope or something to help you facilitate whatever plans.
You want to kill yourself, your dad will be like, they'll give you a knife. Go ahead and do it, right? You're going to be like, you can't. Yeah, so those are the things that, nah, man, I don't. I mean, because that's why it's good, like I mentioned, people are different. Ethnic groups are different. They see it differently. They handle it differently, right? But if they are able to find ways to overcome it without taking the medications, because like I said, it gets to that level which is uncontrollable when you start taking the medications for it. It gets so bad that you can't come back from it anymore.
Yeah.
So, but that's just an easy fix with habits. It's just about changing your habits.
So do you feel like, or maybe you have experienced it before, do you ever have this feeling where you're like, maybe ending your life is the best situation or the best solution to your problem? Because sometimes you're like, you have that thought and you're like, sometimes you sit and you're like, this is the reason why I'm still alive today.
Nah, man. Look. You see me? I mean, I don't know about people out there, but me, there is never ever gonna be a day I'm gonna sit and think of killing myself. Never. Because I'm depressed? Hell no. Because I'm lonely? I'm never gonna wanna kill myself. The thought have never crossed my mind.
But some people would think about that, but they're like, you know what? Never. I can never do it. But that thought still runs through your mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I've thought about doing it, but I'm just wondering, how do people do it?
You take a rope and you're like,
okay. Guess what? Come to think of it, right? When you've seen an accident, not even you experiencing it, you've seen an accident, like you've just seen people's parts laying off the road or in the car. Do you imagine how that is? Like, imagine you killing yourself. Nah, man, let someone else do it. Like even in movies or even real life when cops
Yeah.
actually point guns at people on the street. Like, a gun pointed at you.
Oh my god, I've experienced that before. Oh my god, I felt like I was going to pass out.
Now you're gonna see you're gonna see 1,000 reasons to leave, right?
Yeah.
The thought of killing yourself is gonna
Think about your
disappear.
parents,
You know.
Think about your siblings.
Yeah. Then imagine that. Then look at it like someone trying to kill themselves. Hell no. Because there's a lot in life to live for.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot to live for. And when you're faced death or when you're near death, you're gonna see that.
You
Oh
understand.
shit! You're gonna be scared of it. So I don't know how people do kill themselves. Of course, people go through a lot and we can't know, right? There's a lot we can't know about people. There's a lot we can't know or comprehend of people going through or talk less of getting to the thought of killing themselves. But I mean, for me, like I'm just, man, I can never think of killing
hard.
myself. Yeah, I can never think of killing myself.
So what advice would you give to people that feel depressed or feel lonely?
Well, I mean, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not an expert in that. But what I already mentioned a couple of these things, right? First of all, you have to love yourself. First of all, you have to love yourself. Because if you love yourself, you're going to be comfortable in your loneliness. That's the one where depression will never set in. It will never cross your mind. Yeah. Now, when you are happy with yourself, what do? You do things to take care of yourself. Of course, there are situations where as human beings, you're going to feel down. You're going to feel like, less motivated and all of those stuff. But those situations are different. Now we're looking at the loneliness, getting to the depression part of it, right? Which is intense. Now, you need to first of all, ensure that you're having a good balanced diet, because our diet plays an important role in it, right?
Yes.
Most people feel lonely or they think they're depressed. Why? Sometimes they might be lacking.
Hungry.
They might either be hungry or they might be lacking vitamin D or something, or or they might just be indoors a lot that they have not walked under the sun or be outside.
And then
That's lack of the vitamin D.
Our friends sometimes play a very great role when it comes to the things we go through in life, because there's sometimes in some situations in which I am probably going through a messed up situation, and then you explain it to your friend, and then the same friend comes later and makes it worse.
Yeah.
Mess up your life.
They make it worse by either laughing at you or okay.
They'll do something that would...
or actually taking that situation you told them against you.
Yeah.
Using it against you.
Exactly. Or they'll do something to you that really hurts you, and then put you in a worse situation.
Yeah.
And that's sad. I feel like our friends and our loved ones really need to do better when it comes to...
Yeah, it needs to do better. So, most of the time I feel like... Anyway, let me finish with okay, now I talked about making sure you're having vitamin D, balanced diet, all of that stuff. Working out is the most important. Workout, I can't stress this enough. I mean, you must not work out to be in shape or to have a nice body and stuff. No. Just working out, exercising is very important. It keeps your mood. It makes you healthy. It makes you lively. I want to feel like the most happiest person is the person who's leaving the gym. They've run on that treadmill. They've walked out. They've done exercises. They feel better. And blood is flowing around the body a lot.
I think you're a very happy person. Cause
I'm a very happy person.
You go to the gym.
I'm a very happy person.
You're a people person.
Yeah.
You always interact with people out there.
Exactly.
You're always out there.
You can never.
I would understand when you say depression.
You're never gonna find people like me who do things like me in situations of being depressed, because they do things already that can move them, like that can never even have them in that space of depression. Exercise, taking walks, all of those things.
And that's a very good thing.
Yeah.
With time, I've really
we really don't have enough time to go through everything, but I think we've actually gone through a couple of things that can really help people out there.
Yeah. So guys, please, you really need to find the right friends. You need to find the right community in which you interact with.
Find the right space. Find the right people around you.
Unaliving yourself is never the solution to your problem.
Never a solution.
You should find the real people, the right people to express yourself to them.
Find the right people.
Talk to someone someone. Talk
yeah.
to someone. Go out for that walk. Go to the gym. Interact with the community. It will help a lot.
I mean, if you don't even want to work out, just get 3 shots and tell me if you're not
Yeah.
gonna feel better.
Yeah.
Take 3 shots of alcohol.
3
Tell me
shots
if you're
of-
not gonna feel better.
Please. After the alcohol, you're still going to feel the same way.
I mean, but when you take it, you feel better, right?
At that moment.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're gonna feel better.
Just for that moment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And guys, also like you gotta make
Travel.
sure that because you gotta make sure that you're having the right advice from people because there's some things people can tell you that
Yeah.
can mess up with your mind.
Yeah.
Because when you get a lot of advice and talks from people, it gets your mind confused, and
Yeah.
then the confusion leads you to like no results. And guess what? Sometimes most people who don't really achieve goals or don't really achieve something they want to achieve, it makes them depressed.
True.
It makes them feel
True.
like they're depressed. It's not the depression, it's just the disappointment
Yeah.
of the thing that they didn't fulfill.
Not fulfilling
or
your
achieve,
dream-
yeah.
Not fulfilling your dreams is always something that is going to be part of your
But,
life.
yeah.
So you just have to.
You have to learn to deal with it.
You have to learn to accept mistakes.
Yeah.
You have to learn to accept setbacks
We're human,
and
right?
work towards building yourself,
We're human,
building
yeah.
that career, building your goals. So setbacks is always going to be part of whatever you're trying to build.
Yeah. One more thing I actually wanted to add, but we're out of time. One more thing I actually wanted to add before we go is, I mean, coming from Africa, us being African in the United States, or black people in general, I mean, I understand. I'm not against it, but to me, right, I don't really think. Sometimes they say a therapist can help you with the depression, right? But I don't think it helps a lot. Like, they say going to therapy, right? Most of the things I believe going to therapy for can help is like maybe, like the physical therapist for health, and then relationship therapist. It can really help your relationships. But when it comes to depression, it's something about yourself, something within. I really don't think going to therapy can help, because guess what? A therapy, right, can give you the same advice or tell you the same thing that some other person is going to tell you,
Yeah.
like we're doing right now.
And we always have that one friend that you would always go back to.
Yeah.
And talk to that person,
Or
and the
confide
person
in.
the person will make you feel
Feel
better.
better.
The
Exactly.
person will help
You should do
maneuver
that.
whatever you're going through. So please talk to somebody.
All right, guys. Yeah, we've actually come to the end of this session or this podcast. Before we go, please, as you keep watching our content, please do subscribe. Please subscribe, comment, engage with us. We, as a community, as a podcast, we grow because of you guys. You are the people who make this environment of podcast grow to something better. So without you guys, this is not going to be something. So please subscribe and ensure to follow us on all of our platforms. Thank you guys, and we're going to see you guys on the next one.
Thank you.
Yeah.